welcome back. Full Heel Podcast coming at you with a brand new episode. Today, my guest is Jeff from the Average Joe's MMA show. Welcome, Jeff.
Yo,
how we doing today?
What? I'm doing good, brother. How you doing?
Not too bad. Just
what's
trying to get through
what's
hump
up?
day.
What's up, Full Heel Podcast? Yeah, no shit. Fuck, it was a brutal Wednesday.
Yeah.
But we're here.
We're queer, and we don't want any more bears.
Fuck yeah, Homer.
Bear tax.
I pay the Homer tax.
That's the homeowner
owner's tax. Oh, God, the Simpsons are fucking great.
Thanks a lot for listening, everybody. Please check out the rewrites. That was the rewrites opening the show. They're playing a show this weekend at Sur Latino. I don't know exactly where that is. I could check it up real quick. They're playing a show, so I will not be. I probably won't be doing a podcast. I could, I guess, by myself, or see who is available. Cause it's only, but everyone might be going. But yeah, check out the rewrites at Sur Latino if you like their music. They're gonna be playing there this weekend. Yeah. What the fuck doesn't give the address? Bar 171, Chicago. So 5147 South Archer Avenue, Chicago, Illinois 60632 or 60632. Hosted by Media Luna. I don't know who that is. I think it's gonna be the rewrites, and Toucan's gonna be debuting a new band of his, I believe.
Really?
Yeah, I think he's like in 3 bands or something like that. So go ahead and check them out. Yeah, so we're gonna be covering ECW Living Dangerously 1999. I want to have you back on so we could discuss a pay-per-view. Mainly an ECW one, because I haven't done an ECW one, and you're kind of like my ECW guy.
I am the ECW guy.
I'm gonna start making a sign, so it's gonna say at the bottom, it's gonna say ECW correspondent, and then for Jesus it'll say WCW correspondent, and then for Ryan it'll say Attitude Era correspondent or WWF correspondent.
I'm good with Jesus as the WCW representative. Ryan, stay out of the WCW territory. You didn't watch, you fucking liar. So, you were watching the Attitude Era.
Perfect. So there's beef that
there is beef.
Average Joe's knows about, but FHP doesn't know about yet. There was beef last week. You started beef, Jeff.
Well, technically you started beef.
I didn't do nothing. I do nothing. I know do nothing.
Nah, I just had to bust Ryan's balls a little bit because, you know, he had to. Ryan, for those of the FHP that don't know, Ryan was originally my co-host on the Average Joe's. And Ryan and I took off after Dave fucked us over, blah, 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 blah. Ryan had to step away because of family, you know, just not having enough time with family and shit like that. Completely understand. Cool. I love Ryan to death. Still to this day, I talk to him at least once a week. But I was giving him shit because he came on not that long ago on our show. But he's fucking doing every 2 weeks on yours. But you can't come back on the podcast that got you started on podcasting. You motherfucker.
Hey, I'm still strong, brother.
You are.
Hoorah.
You are. So I had to bust Ryan's balls a little bit. I love Ryan. The beef has been squashed.
Good.
There'll be no bloodshed, no fucking USA versus Canada. This isn't 1997. We're not going through the Montreal screw job, you know.
We should plan a triple threat Full Heel Podcast one then.
Yeah.
We just have to decide on what pay-per-view we want to watch. Because Ryan's limited. So I apologize, Ryan. I am not calling you limited or dumb. No, I'm saying his pay-per-view selection for Canada is limited. For WCW. I don't know why. He doesn't have a lot of the... What the fuck is it? He doesn't have a lot of the earlier ones.
See, that sucks because realistically, if I was to do a WCW pay-per-view, I'd probably want to do an earlier one because the NWO era, while great television, pay-per-view sucked balls.
They were all botched. Every single, like, if you go back,
they were terrible.
Hogan was trying to pull off some kind of like, hey, let me fucking throw a sparkler in your face, and then he catches on fire like an idiot, and then.
Well, and like they put all their best matches on fucking Nitro to try to beat Vince. So by the time you get to a pay-per-view, everything's a fucking blow off, and that's how you get the fucking let's kill the streak with the goddamn shock stick and Karl Malone and fucking Jay Leno and.
As a kid, I knew the shock stick was a bullshit thing, but I was such an NWO fan. I loved it. I was that guy. I was like, whatever, it's NWO. NWO for life.
That's what sucks too, because it was like, that was my era. We didn't have USA Network, so I had to watch a lot of fucking WCW, which was fine. I liked it, but trying to go back now and watch old classic pay-per-view matches, it's like if I want to watch good matches, I have to fucking wade through the shit on fucking Nitro, and I don't want to do that.
And you picked a badass one. This was a badass fucking pay-per-view to go back and
ECW put on great pay-per-views.
Mm-hmm. I had no idea. I think I've mentioned it on here before. I've only really gone back, and the ECW that I've seen is from the U network or the UPN or whatever it was.
Oh yeah,
26 the U for here in Chicago. WCIU channel 26 at 1 a.m. After Svengali or before. I think it was after. They used to do an hour of ECW, but it was just specific. It was just the best matches that they were picking, or like some of the most hardcore ones. They didn't show they only had an hour. So like these pay-per-views were 3 hours long, and it was awesome to go back and see the young talent that I saw later on in WWF or WWE or growing through WCW. We've seen it before with like the Eddie Guerreros and the Rey Mysterios, but like this was a little bit later on, so you even see the talent that they were bringing in after they got rated of their talent, which you can see how good of talent seekers they were. They were picking the right guys, and then they were getting fucking milled by the bigger companies, and they were getting their wrestlers taken after they were finding good talent.
Yeah, I mean, you're absolutely right, especially in the case of like the luchadors and stuff. Like they were the first organization that really gave those guys an opportunity to get a stage in America. Mm-hmm. Paul forged a good relationship with Conan, so he was bringing a lot of guys in from AAA. Hence, Rey Mysterio and Juventud Guerrera and La Parca and Eddie Psychosis. Eddie and Ray and Juventud had a couple. I mean, it had a couple really classic matches, but there was one that ended up out into the parking lot outside the ECW arena where Ray hits a Hurricane Rana off of a Nissan or a fucking something.
Eddie and Ray have some kind of classic match there as well, I think. Dean and Eddie had some good matches. Chris Benoit was there. Yeah. Then this was before WCW came in and rated for talent.
Yep.
Which WCW then was like, hey, what the hell? You rated us for talent. And it's like, well, you guys kind of did that to ECW, so you reap what you sow, guys. Sorry, that's the business.
Exactly.
That's the
business. He snagged.
That's the business, baby.
Bischoff snagged all those guys
baby.
up.
That's how the business goes.
The American dream, Dusty Rhodes, baby.
That's how the business goes, baby.
Hard times.
He hit him with the bicycle.
Have you checked out Something to Wrestle With yet?
No, I haven't had time, bro.
I fucking turned Ryan into an addict. He listened to like one episode and he's downloaded every one of them. That's cool.
I think he was telling me about it.
I started branching off. I've listened to a lot of that. I've started branching off to Tony Schiavone's podcast, What Happened When.
I've been trying to catch up with my regular ones because they've been having me work with other people. Because a lot of people have been going on vacation. They've been taking like month-long vacations, so I've been having to work with a lot of people. So I can't listen to 8 straight hours of podcasts like I usually do. Like I gotta have actually converse. They ask me questions and shit. Like, hey, what are you doing? And I gotta fucking be like, So I hate pausing it and unpausing it. So like, sometimes I just gotta leave it off and listen to the radio that they're fucking playing or something.
I've been trying to get them in because like Spotify has Something to Wrestle With and What Happened When. So I've been throwing those on while I'm playing video games and shit because I can play it through my PS4. Mm-hmm. So playing Madden or something like that, I'll be listening to a podcast at the same time.
That's what's up. Yeah, so the reaping of talent and them having to get new talent. So this is 99. WCW is taking a lot of their talent. WWF is trying to get WCW's talent. So what does ECW do? They bring in Super Crazy. You see Tajiri as well. A young Tajiri.
Very young
Going by
Tajiri.
his first name, too. I've never heard Yoshihiro Tajiri. I only knew him as Tajiri. With the black pants, spitting the green mist.
This was that gimmick for him started in ECW, but it came a little bit later. Like it was probably about another 6-8 months.
I think they mentioned this was his first feud in ECW, I believe.
I think so. Yeah. With Super Crazy, they had a series of matches. Like I was telling you before we started, I went back and watched the hardcore TVs leading up to just kind of get refreshed on the storyline. And Tajiri and Super Crazy were working with each other on the house show loops. So there were a couple of pre-matches, like 2 or 3, I think, leading up to this match. Mm-hmm. No like real feud or anything like that, but just working a series of back and forth really crazy matches and putting on great matches.
Before we get into the match, check out our spot. No, I'm just kidding. I forgot to mention, we shouldn't pass it up. Taz cuts a badass promo in the beginning of the pay-per-view before this match starts that we didn't mention at all. But I don't know who Taz is being interviewed by, but
I can't remember who that guy is either. He kind of just came along it wasn't around for real long because it was mostly just Joey Styles, and I think they got rid of him before they went to TNN.
It's sad to see what WWF could have had if they knew what Taz was at the time. The guy could run the mic like with the top guys. He could be on the mic with the top guys.
Taz was great at cutting promos.
Wrestling, the guy could wrestle. The guy was great. The guy could throw people. The guy was a little mini tank. The guy was wider than he was tall. Like
the problem for Taz going into WWF right off the jump was just going to be his size.
Yeah,
he's not a very big man,
and he wouldn't. I don't think he would have been content with Eddie, Chris, Angle, that whole kind of like rotating Intercontinental Championship, European Championship, Tag Team Championship kind of Carters, which I think is where he would have been not perfect, but he would have hit really well. He would have fit perfect in there.
Him and Kurt could have had some great matches.
Yeah. Well,
because I like watching what Kurt and Joe did later in TNA, and Samoa Joe reminds, especially like early young Samoa Joe, reminds me a lot of ECW Taz. Like his style, Joe was a little bit more athletic, obviously, especially younger Joe. He could do a little bit more stuff that Taz couldn't. But just Taz was the human suplex machine. That that kind of stuff. Joe, I think Joe was a Taz fan growing up. Mm-hmm. So I think Taz and Angle could have had a lot of great matches with each other, but his size, they just squashed him.
Yeah, and how many matches did he really have in WWF before they turned him onto the commentating table? They kind of just were like,
it wasn't long. No. He didn't have a very long run.
I don't remember him for more than a year, to be honest.
Yeah, I think you're right. It was less than 2 years, I think, before they were like, all right, Taz, you're going to go to the commentating.
Yeah, and I don't know if it was due to injury or whatever, but it just... Because he's the one that ended Kurt Angle's streak, if people don't remember. He was undefeated. Kurt Angle was undefeated when he came in for a while, and no one was able to beat him. And then Taz was the one that came in and applied the Taz mission and was able to beat Kurt Angle, take away the undefeated streak. And then it just never progressed past that, really. That's where it kind of ended it for him.
I was honestly surprised that Taz ended up in WWE.
It was
because I never saw him as a guy that Vince would want anything to do with. And even like you go back to like 95, I think it was, when they did that little bit of cross promotion with WWF, where they had had guys come up through and stuff like that. Taz was having a match, and Lawler, buries him about his size and says, maybe I think it was to Vince, McMahon, I thought he would have been big, or he looked a lot bigger on the Lucky Charms box.
Damn.
Yeah, like shit like that,
Because Lawler's not a huge guy to be talking shit.
No. But we know how Vince, the way Vince looks at stature.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter if you can wrestle. He's huge.
Yeah. Speaking of stature, quick diversion. I don't know if you saw this weekend. Brock Lesnar came in the last 2 minutes and stole the Money in the Bank ladder match. Well, he was thrown in the last second.
And won the match.
I'm a Brock Lesnar fan.
Yeah.
But I
would say I am too, but
this is
that's
disrespectful.
Bullshit.
Like, and I'm not like, oh, I don't like how this. No, this is disrespectful. These guys beat the shit. You should see the shit that Finn went through. He was taking bumps. He was
off the ladders and
bouncing off the ladders. He was getting fucked up.
A friend of mine told me about all that. That I needed to watch that.
That ladder match was badass, dude. Those guys put on a match,
and then they fucked it up.
So the gimmick was he took out Sami Zayn in the beginning, and Sami Zayn was hung upside down from his feet. And then they were blaming it on Braun Strowman. And since we didn't know the status of Brock, that's why it was a surprise moment. Not really. Well, I don't know, man. He just came in, threw the guy out, beat up the guy that was about to get it, which was Mustafa Ali, and then got it himself, and that was it. He left. Dude, Randy Orton stayed out for most of this match. I believe that was the reason, because Brock was going to come in and win. Even though I heard rumors that everyone was told Mustafa Ali was going to win, and the day of, Mustafa Ali was the only person that was told that someone was going to come in and win last minute. But he wasn't told it was Brock, and then it turned out to be Brock.
So Brock's getting the strap back at SummerSlam.
Well, he's got the Money in the Bank, so he can put it on. He can call a match whenever he wants.
Yeah.
So they were teasing it yesterday. That he was gonna pop out, and like he's been more active. And maybe if he has Money in the Bank, I'm fine with it if he's more active. But the thing is, if Brock isn't gonna be active, I don't know what we're doing, because he's not gonna fight in the UFC anymore. The only reason he was thrown in was because of that, because of the contract falling through.
Right.
So, yeah, I don't know what's going on.
And then they just introduced that 24/7 belt, right? I saw Ryan post about.
Yeah. So
who's more upset right now, wrestling fans or shitty Game of Thrones fans? I'm not upset.
I'm not. I wish it would have gone better, but I'll take Game of Thrones for what it was. WWE needs better writing. They have this 24/7 title, kind of like a hardcore title that can be defended and won at whatever title or at whatever time. Because they're going onto a different network, and they're gonna have two different brands on two different networks. And what they introduced now is a wild card. So 4 guys from each show each week can go onto each show that they want. So 8 guys in total. 4 from Raw, 4 from SmackDown can jump shows every week at random. It doesn't even have to be announced. It doesn't have to be said. It's just like, oh, these 4 guys showed up this week. And then next week is like, the next day is like, well, these 4 guys from Raw showed up. That's to my understanding, because it was introduced last week, and there was no guidelines given to it. It was just kind of thrown out there by Vince. And then this week, the 24/7 title was introduced. And to be honest, it's a ploy to keep the mid-carders and the jobbers that really have nothing to do in WWE and busy, so they're not asking for releases to go to AEW.
Right.
AEW is building steam, man.
Yeah. AEW is. Didn't they just get a television deal
with TNT?
With TNT, so.
And they're already working on their 3rd pay-per-view. Their 2nd one is sold out. It's in Vegas. They have Jericho with them. Jericho's backing them because Jericho's like, look, I've already done everything I could do in WWE. He's like, I was super over, and they didn't even use me right the last time I was there. He's like, He's like, I was the most over thing, and they started WrestleMania with me. He's like, I'm not saying put me as the main event, but you started the fucking, or no, they put him as slot number 2. He's like, I would have taken slot number 1 to start off the show. He's like, but you guys put me as slot number 2 when we were the hottest shit ever. He's like, I thought about that, and he's like, that was kind of a fuck you to me and Kevin Owens.
I was gonna say that's what that angle he did with Owens. I remember that was
Yeah.
like I think one of the first WrestleManias I watched in a while.
Mm-hmm. And so he's like, you know what? I have a lot of like this. This is just gonna help my career. He's like, there was nothing really much left in WWE for me. So
Yeah, I mean they got Kenny Omega, who's one of the biggest international stars. Do they have is Dean Ambrose there now too?
So Dean Ambrose is kind of
I mean, I know he's back to John Moxley or whatever.
He's
but
back to John Moxley, and no one really knows what's going on with him besides that he's John Moxley. So there's rumors that WWE is turning him into John Moxley to renovate his character, to bring him into WWE as John Moxley, but they want to introduce him into the indies and then bring him in. So that necessarily won't lead him into AEW because they want to keep him away from AEW. What they want to do is keep him off of non-contract things, have him do indie shows as John Moxley, build up a name, be like, oh shit, John Moxley's back, and then boom, he's in WWE as John Moxley. That's a rumor that I've been hearing. If not, he's going to AEW. If he's not doing anything, if he's not doing that, he's going to AEW.
I have a hard time believing that he's doing this to go back to WWE just because they don't like using characters that they didn't create or own.
So the people that created his video were said to be not donated, but they were sent by WWE. So WWE helped
Really?
make that video, yeah.
Okay, so fucking
and
I guess
the fact that he that WWE sent him out like they did, when they don't do that for anybody, even if they ask for their request nicely and everything, they don't mention them. They kind of write them off. He was written into like a badass story with the Shield. They were fucking victorious at the end. They got their brotherhood moment, and they kept on mentioning that he was going on to better and greener pastures. I don't think they would have done that if he wasn't coming back, or they had worked out a deal where he's like, look, I want to be John Moxley. I don't necessarily want to do the company, but I'm not going anywhere as Dean Ambrose. We need to figure something out. I can see how they can do it, but I don't know.
I could see how I definitely could see how they would do it. It's just traditionally like Vince isn't a fan of characters that he didn't create. Hence why everybody that comes in gets a new character.
Yeah, no, he's always kind of been like that, but like ever since I think AJ has really gotten over, and like the guy like Finn Balor have really gotten over, even though that really wasn't his character, he renamed them. But Finn was he was doing the paint thing though, but
he was doing Nigel Nigel Divitt or.
But we'll see where that goes because he let AJ kind of was, he had to keep his name. He wasn't gonna change that shit. It's been AJ Styles forever. Yeah, so back to the promo. So Taz is cutting a badass promo, talking shit about Sabu because he's fighting Sabu in the main event. And then he switches it over to the entire industry and starts talking shit about Flair, about The Rock. He's saying that he can take out any of them. He actually calls out Flair, Austin, The Rock, Hogan, Mankind. He goes just down the line. And yeah, he's just calling out the entire industry on how badass he is and how he's going to unify the real belts that matter. That there's no and they're raw with it, dude. They're like, look, this is no predetermined bullshit. There's no fake judges, and they're saying it. They say it multiple times.
Yeah, there's no predetermined draws.
Yeah, and I wanted to. So what's the whole Don King thing? What was going on with this Don King thing at the time?
Wasn't that around the same time that the WWF brought in Mike Tyson?
Ah, okay. That's what they were referring to. Yeah, right then. Yeah, you're right. Because I was looking up Don King shit, Because I'm like, what's going on with Don King in 1999? And I really didn't find shit in 1999. There was something in 1999, but there was a lot of shit on Don King that I had no idea that motherfucker did.
That's the only thing I can think of.
Did you know that motherfucker stomped out one of his employees to death?
What?
And he went to jail for 3 years. Yeah, that motherfucker's crazy.
I was unaware. Yeah, Don King's fucking nuts, but no, I didn't know he was getting down like that.
He shot someone in the back for stealing his jewelry, like out of a jewelry store.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, but he got acquitted because the guy, like, it was theft.
He's like, oh, it's my fault.
So
deserved to get shot.
No, but you're right. It's not all that other stuff. It should be that Mike Tyson thing.
That's the only thing I can think of. I can't remember. I know. I mean, that would be close to WrestleMania.
Dude, Don King screwed over every single fucking boxer he came across.
Yeah, Don King is a piece of shit.
Ali.
He's like Suge Knight.
Yep.
He just exploited everybody and fucking stole their money.
Yeah, what a piece of shit.
Don King's a piece of shit.
Yeah, so from this guy's promo, we move on to Super Crazy and Tajiri, which we're getting to. So these guys have a badass match and probably the second best match on the card. In terms of, they didn't get the hardcore match; they got a regular match, so it wasn't as long as the best match on the card. But these guys put on a badass, just regular match, just a regular wrestling match. Super Crazy and Tajiri.
Like I was saying, these guys pretty much the entire time that they were in the company together, they wrestled frequently and always brought the house down. And that's, a lot of people just think ECW is just hardcore shit.
There was no hardcore shit here.
It's like a great match, hardcore shit. A great match, some hardcore shit.
That's exactly what this was.
It's sprinkled in and interwoven. Yeah. Every match wasn't a hardcore match, and some of them, had hardcore elements in them. But there were a lot of great wrestling matches in ECW, and I don't think it gets talked about enough.
This one right here would rival any top match that WWE could put on right now. This match between Super Crazy and Tajiri is something that the Indies will put on, and I guess ECW was the Indies at the time.
They were.
So this was a badass match. So we have Tajiri locking in the submission, Super Crazy reversing it and locking in his own. Then we have a shoulder drag by Super Crazy, and then we have an opposite shoulder drag by Tajiri, and then one flips the other guy, he lands on his feet, and then Super Crazy flips Tajiri, he lands on his feet, and then they kind of just look at each other. And we've seen that in New Japan with, that English guy, I forget his name. But him and Ricochet were doing it. They were doing it where they would springboard off the fucking ropes and do backflips and kind of land like superheroes and kind of look at each other. And these guys were doing it in this match, and I was like, holy shit, we were getting this back in the day.
Yeah, man, these motherfuckers were ahead of their time.
Yeah.
Ahead of their time. And I suggest going back, if you got the network, go back and watch the hardcore TVs that led up to this pay-per-view, because there were a couple matches with Crazy and Tajiri, and they're all great. Every match that Tajiri and fucking Super Crazy put on were great. But yeah, so I was saying, this is like his original gimmick before he started wearing the pants and spitting and shit like that. The shit that we grew to know about him in WWE. He was doing that later on when they teamed him up with Mikey Whipwreck and the Sinister Minister James Mitchell, or James Vandenberg, I think he was then. I don't know. But yeah, Tajiri and Crazy were both fucking amazing workers and complimented each other really, really well.
No, they're definitely complimented each other very well in this match. Fantastic match. Like I said, only one match probably on the card beat it that we'll get to later on. Sorry, I'm trying to I can't figure out this guy's name.
Oh, Steve Corino?
No, the English guy. I'm trying to remember the British.
Oh, the English guy.
Yeah, he's dude. He could flip around and do a lot of fucking crazy shit. Will Ospreay.
Oh, Willow Spray.
Yeah, him,
Yeah.
him and fucking Ricochet in New Japan and in the Indies have done some crazy shit. And watching Tajiri and fucking Super Crazy do this when they're super young, it reminded me a lot of what I've seen in the Indies, and
Yeah.
just the chemistry that these guys have. One being a Japanese guy, the other guy being a Mexican guy. Super Crazy, I don't think speaks a lot of English, and Tajiri doesn't speak a lot of English either. Like, and just the
No,
match that they're able to put on is fantastic.
and this was like even more amazing is like this is the era still of kind of really calling your spots on the fly, not scripting out your match the day of, going over your spots and shit like that. Like you might talk about a couple of spots you're going to do, but pretty much everything's being called on the fly.
Yeah, I couldn't remember Will Ospreay. I need to watch more.
I don't know if I've actually seen any of his matches, but I've heard a lot about him.
He's really good. He's he can do it all. He's kind of like a Ricochet kind of type of guy, very high flying. People criticize him for doing a lot of high spots, for flips.
Yeah, everybody criticizes the high spots now because they think everything is just high spots.
But
somebody's got something to bitch about always.
When him and Ricochet are mimicking each other's moves and doing it to like impress the crowd, it's like, oh shit, he's keeping up with Ricochet, and that's a bar that people are measuring now. Like Ricochet's a measuring bar for the shit he's able to do. It's just they haven't let him loose in WWE because some of the shit he can do is pretty crazy. And the last thing I kind of want to touch on in this match, Super Crazy wins, but I guess I'll talk about the finisher, but there's one moveset that I really liked that kind of... So Eddie Guerrero had the Three Amigos. Chris Benoit had the German suplexes.
I know where we're going.
This fucking Super Crazy does the triple moonsaults.
The triple moonsault. Moonsault off each rope.
Yep, he hits the bottom, middle, and top. I was like, yes. I was like, I didn't know too much about Super Crazy. I've seen a little bit about him, but we got him old in the WWF.
Yeah, Crazy didn't get the opportunity to do much of shit in the WWE. They just put him in that angle or in that fucking group, the Mexicools, and put him on a lawnmower and shit like that. It was just they buried him in the WWE. It's sad because
when they dropped that gimmick, though, he put on some good matches, but not and like there was just nothing to do really. Like I don't know, but. It was better than when they had them coming on the lawnmowers and as a triple kind of tag team or triple faction.
I want to say him and Tajiri wrestled again at when they did the first ECW One Night Stand.
Okay, that would have been awesome. I think we should check one of those out. We should do the next one, One Night Stand, the original one.
I was gonna say let's do the original one. I'm fucking down for that. The original one's great.
Yeah. So
before the WWF got a hold of everything and fucked it up.
Mm-hmm. So the finishing sequence, if I'm not mistaken, Tajiri goes for a Hurricanrana and he tries to go for the pin, and Super Crazy reverses it into his own pin from that position and gets the 3 count on Tajiri. Just a quick reversal, no having to be a finisher, and it was not a quick count, but Tajiri he was stuck in it. You can tell that he was struggling to get out, and he sells that. Instead of just being 1, 2, 3, you can see him like, shit, trying to get out. And then he kicks out, but it was already 3. And you can see him like, no, that was 2. It was a pretty good sell at the end to push like, oh shit, he barely got away with the 3.
Yeah, and this is the fucking first match of the goddamn pay-per-view.
Yeah,
like,
really
what a way to come out the gate.
Starts it off with a boom. And then, like you said, it's a good match, and then next they sprinkle in a little bit of their ECW charm. We have Steve Corino come out. I don't know too much about Steve Corino. Anything about him?
I don't really.
Jobber?
Corino,
Jobber Extreme? He seemed like a jobber.
Sort of, yeah. He was an enhancement guy of sorts. They'd let Corino get a win here or there, but he was kind of a jobber.
Well, his thing was, I don't need steroids, and I'm not going to be hardcore.
Right? Yeah, he was the anti-hardcore guy.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So he did some spots in the match where he would act like he was going to do a chair shot or something like that, and then would switch it up. And one time he sat down and put Balls in the fucking chin lock or whatever. But
so he has an open challenge, and Balls comes out with, or Balls Mahoney, one of my favorites, just because of the name. But no, one of my favorites, because I've seen this motherfucker off the top rope do a backflip onto a shopping cart on the outside.
Yeah,
What
Balls.
the fuck?
Balls could do some stuff.
R.I.P.
R.I.P. Yeah, R.I.P. Balls. So could Axl Rotten. Axl Rotten was actually a pretty solid worker, like traditional worker, but kind of got his niche in hardcore.
These two guys really are guys that scared me for their own well-being.
Yeah.
There's one guy on here that scares me for other people's well-being, but yeah, no, these guys scared me for their own well-being. Like, hey, dudes, like, we get it, you're hardcore. Don't fucking kill yourself, guys. They were, what, wasn't fucking the barbed wire on Axl Rotten on his fucking thing? He still has an.
Yeah, him and when they broke up the Rottens, him and Ian, they had a series of matches, and one of them was the barbed wire baseball bat match, and Axl took a barbed wire covered baseball bat to the fucking arm and has permanent scars.
I think we might have done that one for one of our ECW ones.
We definitely talked about it.
Yeah.
Fucked up match.
Yeah, but he does an open challenge and Balls Mahoney comes out with the fucking chair. Steve Corino really doesn't get anything. You kind of see Balls like letting him try to do stuff, try to get hardcore, but Corino doesn't. So Balls is like, all right, fuck it. Yeah, eventually gets the chair and crushes fucking Corino's
Jesus
head in.
Christ, man.
What were we thinking, dude? What were we thinking back in the day?
I was telling my buddy when we were watching it today, I was like, there was a locker room rule in ECW. You didn't put your hands up, and if you did, you were a pussy, and you caught shit in the locker room after the fact. But Corino took a fucking hell of a chair shot that bent that chair all to shit.
Yeah.
It was definitely not a gimmick chair.
Nope. That would have supported very heavy men.
Yeah, that was one of their those nice pay-per-view chairs that they make for it with the cushion and the paint job and shit like that.
Mm-hmm, that you get if you buy like one of the front row seats.
Yeah,
I think they give them to you.
Yeah, they do. They give them to you.
It's fucking awesome. Quick match.
Yeah, a little squash match.
Yeah, a squash match. Like, Balls Mahoney was kind of trying to give Steve Corino a chance in the match to get hardcore into like, but it never really happened. Corino, like you mentioned, sat on the chair and went for a choke instead of whacking away at Balls. Even though Balls was like turning, like looking at him and adjusting and actually giving him his back. But that's Steve. I guess that was Steve's gimmick. So
yeah, Steve was staying true to his gimmick.
Yeah. 4-minute match, Axl Rotten coming away, and then Balls Mahoney coming away with a win, and Axl Rotten then getting some shots in on Corino.
Yeah.
Yeah. Next match was Little Guido. For those people that don't know who Little Guido is, this would be Nunzio from WWE later on. Still the Nunzio. FBI, but they form a different FBI in WWE, the full-blooded Italians. But they had him called Little Guido here. He comes out with Sally Graziano.
Yeah, big Sally Graziano.
Yeah, big old fat guy.
And there was, so leading up to this, there was a little bit of a backstory that comes out at the end of the match. There were two other members of the FBI at that time. There was Tracy Smothers, who wasn't Italian.
What?
They dyed his hair blonde. Tracy Smothers was like a fucking legend in the NWA and shit like that.
But Razor Ramon was Cuban, right?
Yeah, Razor Ramon was Cuban.
Okay. Cool.
Right. Well, I mean, so obviously, we know that they do give, but like ECW went out of their way to say that he's not Italian and shit like that, like making the joke of the gimmick. So, and they had Tommy Rich as well, who was another like old NWA legend that they had brought in, and they were all part of the full-blooded Italians. And there was some infighting between Tracy Smothers and Guido like the week or two before, and they had beat up Guido. So when Guido comes out, it's just him and Big Sal.
Yeah, this was a pretty good match that Nunzio put on with Antifaz. Not as good as the Super Crazy or Tajiri match, but pretty good match.
No, Little Guido was another one that could work.
Yeah, he was
Like
he was more of the lock guy,
Yeah.
like submission guy versus Antifaz del Norte. I had no idea who Antifaz del Norte was.
I didn't either until he came into ECW, and he really didn't do anything majorly after that. Went back to Mexico.
Apparently, he's like the king of the air. He wasn't that great in this match, even though they didn't get a lot of time. But there wasn't a lot of things that they did in this match, and especially, I think it was probably overshadowed by the two beginning matches. We had a badass regular match, and then we had a high spot of an ECW moment with Balls Mahoney coming out and crushing Steve Corino's head with a steel chair.
Yeah, this was just kind of like a palate cleanser match.
It was interesting to see Nunzio's character beforehand. Right away when he came out, I'm like, holy shit, that's Nunzio.
Oh yeah. So yeah, I mean, Little Guido was his gimmick the entire time he was in ECW, and was there for a long time in the FBI. Was a thing that was a pretty
How long was he there? Because he didn't come till later on in the WWE.
I think the entire time. I don't think he left ECW until after it folded.
Okay, so
or maybe right at the end of it. But
do you know when they folded? Because he started Full Blooded Italians with Jamie Noble 2002 to 2004.
Yeah, so he came in like probably, I think ECW closed in 2001.
Oh, okay. When here we go. When ECW closed, Maritado, I guess that's his name, wrestled for several independent promotions, mostly in the New York tri-state area. He often teamed with former partner Tony Mamaluke.
Yep, Tony Mamaluke, who came in.
They had a notable run in Ring of Honor before Maritado was signed with World Wrestling Entertainment in 2002.
When Paulie was there, he brought him in, and then they changed him over to Nunzio.
That's when I remember him.
So yeah, the FBI. So that they just relaunched the FBI in WWE. But that was his stable and his gimmick. And there was different members throughout his time with him in the FBI. Like I said, it was Solly and fucking Tracy Smothers.
Great palate cleanser for the match that was going to come. So, Little Guido Nunzio picks up the win over Antifaz.
That gets beat up by Tracy Smothers again.
Yeah.
Horseshit.
Yeah, like you said, a good palate cleanser of a match.
Yeah.
And
especially for what followed.
Yeah. Then we got
Mr. Monday Night
Van Dam. So, my brother's probably not gonna like this, but my brother smacked Rob Van Dam on the ass one time.
What?
Yeah, we went to a indie show, or like some show in Indiana, with our cousins, and Rob Van Dam was a special attraction, and there was a high ring and a low ring, and they were doing like a bunch of ladder shit and stuff or whatever, and then Rob Van Dam after the fact was like, yeah, I'm going to be outside in the lobby signing stuff. If you guys want to come out and check me out, go ahead. So we go out there, and my brother's about to smack him in the back. Like, yeah, like everyone was patting him on the back, and one of my cousins smacks his hand down, and he smacks him in the butt. Rob Van Dam didn't do anything because it was like a giant crowd. But to this day, we make fun of my brother. And I'm like, dude, just accept it, dude. I wish I smacked Rob Van Dam on the ass.
Man. I wish I would have known this when I was at your house. I would have asked your brother about the time he smacked Rob Van Dam on the ass.
How firm were the cheeks?
How firm were the cheeks, bro?
I'm jealous. He's television. So Rob Van Dam is television champion, RVD,
and tag team champion.
Yeah, with Sabu, right?
Sabu.
So here's a question. I'll give you my take, or I'll give you what I thought. I don't like Bill Alfonso. I don't know what his gimmick was, because I don't know what Rob Van Dam was really playing. He was playing a badass, but he wasn't a heel, but it seemed like he was a good guy, but not really. It seemed like he was a tweener.
Everybody kind of told the line. I mean, there were some genuine heels, but a lot of guys straddled that line between, because ECW, they would boo baby faces anyway and cheer heels.
So this makes sense because these. So what's the deal with Bill Alfonso? Was he an owner? Like, was he established in the beginning?
So Fonzie originally was like a referee. If you go back and watch some old fucking WWE stuff from like the late 80s into the early 90s, Fonzo's there as a referee. He refereed WrestleMania and shit like that.
Holy shit.
And then he ended up in ECW as a referee at first, and somehow he ended up becoming a manager. Working originally was with Taz. He was part of Team Taz. And then eventually he got paired with Rob and Sabu. And his gimmick was just to be as annoying as fuck.
Oh, and it was. He had a whistle?
Yeah, he always has a whistle, and he always blows it. He's always yelling.
Yeah, he was always yelling annoyingly.
It's like Jimmy Hart with the fucking megaphone. You know what I mean? Like, it's trying to be.
It was just a little confusing because, like I said, I didn't know what Rob Van Dam was, and I guess Sabu was a heel, but not really. Like, he's just a badass.
They're just they try to be heel, you know.
That's why I don't understand this pairing of this manager, because, to be honest, Rob Van Dam didn't need a mouthpiece. I don't know how long. Also, I don't know how long Rob Van Dam had him as his manager.
Most of the time that he was in ECW, he was with Fonzie.
Rob Van Dam did not need him, in my opinion. Rob Van Dam could work the mic.
It wasn't really. Fonzie wasn't really so much a mouthpiece, especially for Rob. He was more of a mouthpiece for Sabu because Sabu didn't speak.
I can see that. That's the only instance where I can see him being useful in this instance. I was about to say, I'm like, well, maybe I was like, maybe he wasn't Rob Van Dam's, because I'm like, maybe he was just because it was a tag team at the time and they were the champions. But no, I guess not.
Well, I mean, that's kind of how he ended up with Fonzie, but like, he worked with Fonzie's, you know, in his singles runs and all that shit. He was just with him. I think the whistle thing started when he was in Team Taz. Taz was a heel at one point too. Like, it's just like ECW was that pre-Attitude Era where
bad was good and good was bad.
Right. Where, you know, Stone Cold was a heel, but everybody fucking loved him. It all came fucking from ECW.
Yeah. So
because Tommy Dreamer was a fucking like white meat baby face back in the day, and they hated him. They booed him, hated him until he fucking really took all these cane shots from Sandman and started becoming the hardcore icon. Then they fucking loved him. But
the innovator of hardcore, bro.
Yeah, the fucking innovative violence, baby. Yeah. But yeah, so back to the match. Yeah, that's why Fonzie is there.
So he's taking on so it's RVD with Alfonso taking on Jerry Lynn. Jerry Lynn, I guess, would be the babyface in this match. So I guess Rob Van Dam would be considered the heel.
Yeah, he worked heel. He was pretty much a heel this whole time in ECW. Because he would work angles where he would talk shit about ECW and saying he's better than that ECW and he deserves to be in the WCW or WWF or whatever, you know. That's why he named himself Mr. Monday Night, because he said he should be performing on Monday night on Raw.
So eventually he would get the opportunity, but then get taken away because of drugs. Marijuana. Yeah. So this is a surprisingly good match, because I have no idea who Jerry Lynn is. This guy never went to the WWE, or if he did, he never was anything. He
was
big.
There. They fucking buried him. Jerry Lynn got buried in WCW.
Oh, you mean like the franchise got buried there?
Yeah, not as bad as the franchise. He didn't get a shit gimmick. He just got buried as a in-betweener and then turned into a jobber. Jerry Lynn is a fucking worker.
Yeah,
man.
This guy won me over with this match with Rob Van Dam. Like, he was able to keep up.
Yeah.
Pace with Rob.
Jerry had been around. Like Rob's younger than Jerry, I think, in this match. Jerry's a little bit older, but he found his stride in ECW, where he just didn't get opportunities to do anything in any of the other organizations. He was in WCW when they had the cruiserweights and shit, but he just got buried.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because I don't remember him at all. Like maybe
He was there for a cup of coffee. You wouldn't remember.
Not even in WCW. What did WCW do with him? Because I don't remember him.
Nothing.
Yeah, because he was in WCW as well, and I don't remember him either from there. But like, he was a big staple in WC or ECW, wasn't he? Well, for a kind of baby face kind of guy. Their baby face.
Jerry became a staple, and because he was a good worker, and put on good matches, and especially him and Rob, they worked fucking phenomenally together.
Maybe because there was no gimmick, I guess, really, with Jerry. It was just him. He's a wrestler. Jerry Lynn.
Well, I mean, you could get over in ECW without a gimmick if you put on good matches. If you did something in your match to fucking win over the people.
The baby faces, I think, tended to have a gimmick. Like, they were super baby face in ECW. Like, Mikey, what was his name?
Mikey Whipwreck?
Yep.
Till they turned Mikey heel?
Mm-hmm. Oh, he did? You eventually heel?
When he was with Tajiri, they were a heel tag team. It was later on.
That guy, I think I might have seen him in WWF, like a cup of coffee, but was he with WWF? Did he ever go?
I don't know if Mikey ever went or not. I don't think so.
I don't remember.
If he did, it was real short lived, and I don't really remember it either. But
yeah, no. So this was a fantastic match between these two guys. Like I said, he was able to keep up with Rob Van Dam, but I think the whole kind of story of this was Rob Van Dam trying to go with his high spots of doing the chair things, doing the Van Daminator, doing the Rolling Thunder. He was trying to execute all these matches or all these moves, but whenever he was trying to do it, Jeremy Lin would kind of reverse it in his favor after Rob Van Dam was trying to land these things and then get his offense going. And it was kind of an equal match back and forth. The longest match on the card.
Ended up going to a time limit. Yeah, originally.
Mm-hmm. So was the world television title hardcore no matter what?
Everything was kind of hardcore no matter what. And
could you get disqualified? Like if
no, there was really no disqualifications in ECW.
Like if Super Crazy and Tajiri like were brought out of chair and hit one another, would the ref wouldn't have stopped it?
No.
Okay.
No. There's no disqualifications in ECW. I don't even think there's countouts in ECW because
I didn't see the ref counting it out. Yeah,
everybody always ends up in the floor or in the crowd and shit anyway. No, there really no rules there. It
was kind of a little confusing because Taz later on is like, we're having a fucking extreme death match, and I was like, what the hell? What's so extreme about it? Like there's false counts everywhere.
Because Sabu's there. Yeah, that's what makes it extreme.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah.
Anytime Sabu's around, it's fucking extreme.
Yeah. So Jeremy Lin is like reversing Rob Van Dam's signature moves, taking away his chair offense, and then gaining his own offense.
Yeah, I hit that foot sweep and swept him right out under the chair when Rob tried to hit him with the fucking spin kick.
That was one of the most unique ones. Or when Rob tries to do the monkey throw or the monkey flip from the ropes where he's in the corner, and he rolls and then he jumps onto you and then monkey flips you. Jeremy Lin got out of the way, so Rob Van Dam jumped but had to grab onto the ropes, so he's facing the outside back to the inside of the ring. Jeremy Lin does a weird cartwheel and fucking kind of power bombs him onto the floor and goes for the pin. I thought that was fucking crazy as shit.
Yeah, man. Jerry Lynn could go, dude. He could go.
There was a spot where he jumped all the way to the outside of the barricade at fucking Rob Van Dam. Some crazy table spots these guys had to the outside. Dude, Rob Van Dam almost died. He got they went out to a table and Rob Van Dam and this guy tried to go through it. They didn't break. Rob Van Dam kind of landed on his neck and they bounced to the outside.
So Jerry Lynn was in the WWF in 1989, 1995, 1997, and 2001 to 2002.
Damn, and I don't remember him at all, dude.
And he
What was his name?
was here's Jerry Lynn.
Oh.
He won the light heavyweight championship
Mm-hmm.
and held the light heavyweight championship for 37 days until he lost it to Jeff Hardy.
Okay.
And then he had a notable match with Rob Van Dam for the WWF Hardcore Championship on an episode of Sunday Night Heat before being released in February 2002 following a knee injury. So most of his stuff, I mean, he was in WCW for 2 years. He had some gimmicks there. He was Mr. JL, where I think he wore a mask in WCW at one point too.
Yeah, so you mentioned this went to time limit. It went to 20 minutes, and the ref called it. And he
Was going to give it to Jerry.
He was going to give the belt to Jerry, and Rob Van Dam being the champion. And the ref was going to give it to Jerry. Jerry refused it because he didn't win it. And he asked for a 5-minute extension for him to be able to win it, him being the babyface. The ref is like, hey, dude, it's up to you. The 5 minutes are granted. Rob Van Dam gets pile driven on his head, and you're like, holy shit, Jeremy Lynn's going to win. Rob Van Dam does not get pinned. Dude, there were so many kick-out spots in this after, like, so many fucking crazy-ass moves done. And I love the fact that they saved the 5-star frog splash till the end. They didn't overuse it like WWE does now. They overuse the finishers and kick out of the finishers and kick out of the finishers. This, they saved it for the perfect spot, the end. That's what the finisher is for, the end. You don't do the finisher a quarter in the way through and then be like, oh, he still has energy, that's why he kicked out. And then you do it halfway through and like, oh my God, what a resilient guy. And then you do it 75% through the match, like, oh my God, it was a hair before. And then, the fourth time he finishes with it.
Yeah, then he finally gets the last finisher.
No, you save it for the fucking end of the match. You beat the shit out of him with everything else. You use your chair spots. You let him get his offense. The match is extended. Boom. Rob Van Dam hits his 5-star frog splash. Goes away with the belt. Perfect fucking story. Perfect fucking match. I would give it a 5. I'd give it 5 stars if I had a rate. You know what? Rafael Chaira's Wrestling Observer, #1 5-star match for the CCW. For the CCW match between Rob Van Dam and Jeremy Lynn. Fuck that stupid guy. Fucking what's his name?
Dave Meltzer.
Yeah, fuck Dave Meltzer. You can't just come up with fucking titles. Oh, the Wrestling Observer. Get the fuck out of here. How about Wrestling Connoisseur over here, Rafael Chaires? How about that one, huh? I'll one up you, cocksucker. Sorry, I got a little heated.
Oh, yeah, you let it go. I can't say Dave Meltzer either. Oh God, dude, I know I keep pushing this fucking thing, but you really want to hate Dave Meltzer, start listening to something to wrestle with, because they talk about, like, if they're doing a pay-per-view breakdown, they'll read the review from the Wrestling Observer, or if they're doing a character, story or whatever about a certain wrestler, they'll talk about different articles and shit that Dave Meltzer wrote, and they bury him.
I'm writing it down right now on my dry erase board. Something to wrestle with?
Yep.
All right. Because sometimes on Saturdays I don't have anything to listen to. Because a lot of people put out their podcasts during the week.
I think you'll like it, man. I think you'll get hooked on it.
All right. So
talking about all the shit you fucking love.
Yeah. So I'm gonna start rating my matches. I'd give that one a 5-star between these guys.
A fucking incredible match.
4.75. It had its wrestling aspects. It had its hardcore aspects for an ECW match. Because sometimes I tend to be like, oh well, I give purity of matches just if it's a regular match and they can sell me on excitement. I tend to take that over if they're doing a bunch of high spots and they still sell me. But like these guys held me over with a lot less. They did a lot more with a lot less. But these guys, I think, did enough with what they had. They used the hardcore aspects. They fought outside. They used the tables, but they were also doing their inside stuff. a lot of high-flying spots by Rob Van Dam and by both of them. And it also told the story where Jeremy Lin was getting his right leg or right knee taken out by Rob Van Dam.
Rob was never like the hardcore guy. Like he used his chair shots, for the Van Daminator and things like that, and working with Sabu and maybe a table spot, but for them, he wasn't the baseball bat and barbed wire guy.
The only weapon he really did use, like that he picked up, I guess, was the chair. The tables were already set. They're already set up on the outside, and they were doing a lot of outside stuff.
And he really didn't work a ton of table stuff on his own. It was a lot more when he was working with Sabu, because Sabu had to go through a table.
Yeah, that's his thing, bro.
Yeah.
So Rob Van Dam picks it up in that weird match extension.
He has some fucking air on that 5-star frog splash.
Yeah. It was at least 3/4 of the way into the ring that he had to jump across to get to this guy, and he nailed it perfectly.
Yeah.
So yeah, Rob Van Dam picks up the win against Jerry Lynn. Retains his ECW World Television Championship. Later on, there's a promo cut, and Rob Van Dam will grant. He's like, you know what? He's like, I'll give you the rematch. Better yet, he's like, I challenge you at the next pay-per-view for my championship, because you were the second best fucking athlete that night. So giving him his credit, but kind of like, haha, I'm better than you.
Yeah,
because he won.
Yeah, this was the start of the feud, and they went on to have several great matches. Jerry Lynn would start calling himself the new effing show.
Okay.
Because Rob was the whole effing show.
There's a lot of swearing going on too, and not bleep swearing either. It's pretty
funny. Pay-per-view. I'm surprised the network didn't bleep it, but pay-per-view, baby.
Yeah. So after a badass match, if you love hardcore, I guess you love the next match. But literally no wrestling whatsoever in this match. It was all hardcore, all weapons, and I think New Jack broke his leg. I'm not sure what happened to him at the end, but he was hurt. He had to have been hurt, or he was really selling it really well. But yeah, I don't have too much to say about this match besides New Jack is a crazy motherfucker, and then at the end puts Mustafa onto the table, jumps from the balcony down, hits legs first, and then smashes through the table. And he's kind of on the floor. I don't know if he got hurt.
That became his thing too, was jumping off of shit.
Can you touch a little bit on this? I know they did this feud. So Mustafa and him were a tag team, right?
Yeah. So Mustafa and New Jack were a tag team going all the way back to Smoky Mountain. They were the gangsters before they came into ECW. Then they were in ECW for a while as champions, and broke up. Mustafa left, so New Jack was on his own for a while. Well, this actually sparked off from some shit with the Dudley Boys. The pay-per-view before this, the Dudley Boys had come out and put an open challenge to the Public Enemy, who had been gone and left ECW to go to WCW. But they had put a challenge out to them that they were going to take them out. And at one point, New Jack got involved, and so then they were trying to take out New Jack. Well, there was a storyline that somebody had paid them off to take out the Public Enemy and take out New Jack. And a couple of weeks before the pay-per-view, New Jack came out to confront the Dudley Boys. The Public Enemy showed up. Dudley Boys beat the fucking piss out of him and fucked him up. And then New Jack brought out Mustafa to confront the Dudleys. Mustafa turns on New Jack. They all beat the shit out of him. It turns out that Mustafa was the one that was paying off the Dudleys.
Yeah.
So then that gets us to this match.
Yeah, so they have a super hardcore match.
New Jack comes out with a garbage can full of weapons.
Yeah, so was it a tradition that they played music throughout all of New Jack's fucking match? There was music blasting throughout the whole match.
I don't really know what the fuck was going on. I mean, a lot of it, I mean, there must have been something was playing in the arena during New Jack's match. And the WWF didn't want to pay for the licensing, so they were playing some bullshit music.
Was that what was happening a lot with this pay-per-view?
Yeah. So ECW, much like the UFC and stuff, they would just blast music through the fucking house speakers in the arena, and they could show it on TV and not get in trouble because it's ambient music, just like the UFC. So they didn't have like licensed ring music, and everybody walked out to fucking real shit. Tommy Dreamer came out to Man in the Box.
Did Balls Mahoney really come out to Big Balls?
Yeah, Balls Mahoney.
They played that one at least.
Yeah, they
actually played the melody only.
So they kind of, and it's slightly changed a little bit.
Yeah.
There's a few other ones. I can't remember. Somebody came out to Highway to Hell, but like Sandman would come out to Enter Sandman. The only ones whose music, Sabu's music was his actual music that they played. But Rob Van Dam came out to something. I think it was like Pantera, maybe.
Yeah.
But yeah, everybody.
That.
So they had to change it all up. So they just used like bullshit music that they would dub over. That's why you can't really hear crowd noise or anything like that when they're doing their entrances, because they can't even have the crowd sound because the fucking actual music's in the crowd noise. So yeah, that's how the WWE, because they didn't own the rights to the music, they fucking chopped it all out.
Chopped and screw, baby.
Chop and screw. Yeah. Yeah, they used ECW used a lot of unlicensed music.
Yeah, I remember in one of the documentaries I watched from them, they mentioned that they used a lot.
Yeah, Polytop. I mean, they had some stuff that they had licensed. They had an agreement when Too Cold was there, from I think it was Tommy Boy Records, that they were using MC Hammer. They had a deal with White Zombie.
Yeah. Yeah, so I don't got much to say after, besides it was a crazy match, and I think New Jack broke his leg.
Yeah, well, then the Dudleys come out and fucked up New Jack more.
Yeah. Which led into a match of the Dudleys their own, right?
Yeah, then the
Dudleys... Was
Dudleys...
this a scheduled match, or did they just start calling people out? So they beat the shit out of both. They just start beating the shit out of New Jack, and I think eventually they get on Mustafa as well. And then Spike Dudley comes out. I forgot with who.
Nova,
okay.
Nova,
yeah,
who went on to be Simon Dean.
Okay, he had a match earlier on, a tag team match. It was unaired.
Yeah, with the unaired match. Yeah, with where he teamed with Chris Chetty to take on Roadkill and Danny Doring.
Yeah. So he comes out with Spike Dudley, and the Dudley boys go on to whoop those two guys' asses. Bubba Ray and Devon go on to beat the shit out of them after they beat the shit out of New Jack and Mustafa.
And then Sid came out and fucking powerbombed the shit out of Spike.
Yeah, dude. Well, they beat the Dudleys. It becomes a tag team match. They actually have a long match. And then so Sid and Spike win. Spike gets fucking. I think this was before when he was with Nova. Before Sid comes in, he gets flung from the ring all the way outside. He's super tiny, and then he gets carried away like Jesus.
Then he gets crowd surfed.
Yeah,
he gets crowd surfed around. Yeah. He got tossed out into the crowd, into the first row, and then they fucking sent him fucking crowd surfing. Yeah, that was a pretty famous moment.
Yeah,
in ECW history.
Yeah, so Sid and Spike win. And then Spike is like kind of cheering and celebrating with Sid, and Sid's kind of just in the corner. And then Sid turns around, grabs him, power bombs the fuck out of him, I think, onto a table.
Yeah.
To the outside,
through a table to the outside. And Sid showed up at the last pay-per-view at Guilty as Charged.
Was he Sid Justice?
He was just Sid.
Yeah.
Couldn't be Sid Justice because WWF owned that.
Oh, okay.
So he's just Sid.
Was it a joke then that he came out with a judge in front of him?
the gimmick was like this judge would come out and issue, or I can't remember who it was at the Guilty as Charged pay-per-view, but he just came out and Sid was like his executioner, so he would fucking.
That's why I thought it was Sid
sentence him
Justice.
Yeah. No, he was just the man.
The man,
Sid.
I guess.
And he would just power bomb the shit out of everybody.
I guess, right? Back. Yeah, so he almost kills Spike Dudley. This was crazy, man. It was just, I don't know, there was a lot of craziness with the Dudleys beating up people. Then these guys running in. Common. Dudley's beating those guys up. So, like, the Dudleys got, like, 2 victories almost in a row. And then they have a match with these 2 guys and then wind up losing.
Dudleys had been on a streak of breaking people's necks with the 3D. Mm-hmm. They had taken out Sandman, Beulah, Tommy's girl.
Yeah. Yeah, so, like I said, Spike Dudley, Sid win. You got anything else in this match, Jeff?
Nah.
All right. After this was Tommy Dreamer and Shane Douglas, the franchise Shane Douglas, taking on Just Incredible and Lance Storm with Jazz, Jason Knight, and Dawn Marie on the outside.
So this is like the ECW originals, the guys that built this company, taking on the new up and comers that think they're the shit in Just Incredible and Lance Storm.
The franchise was supposedly retiring, right? He was hanging up his boots.
Yeah. A few weeks before that, Shane was in the middle of a retirement speech, and that he was hanging up the boots, and the only person that could fill his boots to carry the company was Tommy Dreamer, and Just Incredible and Lance Storm hit the ring. They beat the shit out of Shane Douglas and Francine. Just Incredible hits Francine in the face with a cane.
Yeah, that was pretty cool.
Yeah, so it sets up. It sets up Tommy and Shane Douglas teaming up together, with Francine to be the triple threat versus the what would be known as the Impact players.
Yeah, this was a pretty good match. I'd probably give it like a B minus. Wasn't too crazy. Maybe like 3.5 star value. Yeah,
I mean, you got a guy in Shane Douglas that's arguably one of the best wrestlers, pure wrestlers, of a long time that didn't get a lot of opportunity.
Mm-hmm. I appreciate the Francine ass every so often when she was like, reaching into the ring, and they're like, oh, let's just focus on her butt.
Yeah,
I appreciate that. But
that's
still,
the ECW thing.
I'm not gonna rate it higher because of that.
Yeah, now if you would have got a little Beulah maybe. Beulah was sexy. But yeah, and Tommy's a good worker, but just was an ECW guy. Mm-hmm. But Justin could go. He was fucking Aldo Montoya in the old WWF.
Okay.
Right. And then we know Lance is a fucking trained by Stu Hart.
Yeah, he's awesome wrestler. For those people who don't know Lance Storm,
just
awesome WCW
shit
wrestler
on the mat, shit on the mic.
Yeah, he's stone faced, fucking no emotion.
No emotion, and he's a terrible talker.
Yeah, he definitely need a mouthpiece.
Yeah.
So Tommy Dreamer and Shane Douglas pick up the victory over the Impact players. Forgot exactly how this match ended. Do you remember that?
They hit him. Douglas gets the Pittsburgh plunge on Credible, and then they're celebrating and get distracted by this douchebag Cyrus, and then Storm and
that was a weird ass ending.
Dreamer.
Not weird. I guess that's ECW, right?
So Cyrus had seemed like a
sex predator guy.
He was in the WWF. He wrestled. He was a wrestler known as the Jackal.
Okay.
Around the early, yeah. So he failed out and he just showed up in ECW one day. Eventually, he goes on. He keeps this character Cyrus, and goes on when they get this deal with TNN. He becomes the voice for the network, and so like he's trying to censor everything on ECW. And just he was a shitty character. Mm-hmm. Didn't do shit. Just an annoying, creepy predator.
He was weird. Yeah, he was like a predator kind of guy. Yeah, but no, there was a lot of chaos at the end of that match too. Francine like gets almost like abducted by him. He eventually lands in her pussy. He does the, you know how they were landing in their nuts. He does that to her crotch.
Yeah, he fucking face plants her.
Yeah, there's a lot of crazy shit. Someone was choking her. Was choking Francine. There was just a lot of crazy shit going on.
Yeah, man. Yeah, ECW couldn't probably happen today because there was a lot of male on female violence.
Yeah, and Francine probably should have taken a wrestling match or two.
Yeah, Francine really didn't.
If you were going to be on camera that much and like execute a move, maybe take a class or two.
Yeah, the only one that really worked was Beulah. Beulah had a match with Bill Alfonso once.
Damn.
Save it. Yeah. She beat the shit out of Bill Alfonso. He was fucking bloody.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Dreamer, Douglas win. But then they get their asses beat. Next match after that was the ECW World Heavyweight Champion Taz taking on the Fuck the World Heavyweight Champion Sabu.
The unrecognized FTW Championship.
So, wasn't that Taz's belt?
It was.
So
it was Taz's belt.
So what happened here? That's what I was wondering. How did it wind up in Sabu's hands?
I think when Taz won the heavyweight championship, he didn't have the FTW anymore, and Sabu just started carrying it, and then put a piece of tape over it and put his name on it and said Sabu. There's literally a piece of white tape over the title, and it's wrote in Sharpie and says Sabu. Mm-hmm. This is something to piss off Taz, because Taz created that belt.
Yeah.
Because he couldn't get a world championship, so he just created the Fuck the World Championship.
Yeah, so they were unifying both heavyweight championships here.
Unifying, even though the FTW always kept calling it the unrecognized.
After this, he started just recognizing the ECW one, right? It kind of just folded into.
Yeah, they just unified it.
Yeah. So Taz wasn't getting. So a little bit of history behind that. Taz wasn't getting the respect he deserved. So he's like, I'm making my own belt, and he would fucking not lose, right? He was on an undefeated streak or something.
Yeah, he was fucking choking guys out, calling Sabu out for like a year, give or take. Mm-hmm. And it started like calling opponents Sabu as he choked them out. This rivalry had been building for quite a while.
So they built it as Sabu's jaw was broken. I don't know what was up with Sabu's jaw. I don't know if it was really broken. Probably needed stitches.
So I don't remember if it was actually a shoot or not, but it was supposedly done by Taz in a match.
Yeah.
Taz clotheslined the shit out of him and broke his jaw.
And in turn, Taz ripped his tendons.
Yeah, ripped some tendons up and shit.
Sabu puts FU on his fucking grip tape on his chin. When it's FU on his fucking chin.
I love Sabu, man. I really do. Oh, no, it does say he was a legit broken jaw.
Oh, he did have a legit broken jaw?
Yeah, and he broke his neck.
Well, that motherfucker was crazy. He used to defy orders. They used to be like, hey, you can't wrestle for them.
Well,
like, fuck you, I'm going to wrestle for them.
Chris Benoit broke his neck.
Germandom?
Yeah, it was. I think it was a German or something into a table.
At least it was into a table.
And he landed on his neck and broke it.
With a broken freaking neck.
And fucking Taz broke his neck in '98 when he took a Tazplex through the table and landed incorrectly.
Dude, Sabu's fucking body's disgusting. Like the scars he has. Not that he's fat or anything. He's all cut up. Like he's got huge ass scars. Motherfucker's crazy. Now these two guys put on a pretty gruesome match. I'm not gonna lie.
Any match with Sabu is gonna be insane. You know, Taz wasn't really about anything but fucking choking people out and suplexing the fuck out of them.
Mm-hmm.
Tables wasn't really a shit. He'd throw you through one if he fucking did, but he sure shit wasn't taking a table spot.
Yeah, no, this was Sabu more getting hardcore and Taz being more of the wrestling practitioner in this match.
Yeah.
Trying to take out Sabu with his wrestling and his throws. Sabu using more of the undermining tactics, holding onto the ropes, eye pokes, a lot of hardcore shit.
Fish eyed the fuck out of him. Or fish hooked the fuck out of Taz's eye.
Yeah. It was an awesome match between both of them. Taz winds up unifying both titles and run. I think I kind of spoiled it earlier without realizing it. But yeah, he folds the FTW belt into the ECW belt. Because I guess he finally got his shot and he was champion. So the FTW belt was pointless, especially now that he unifies it with the ECW belt. So it's pretty awesome. You picked a pay-per-view where they unify fucking the championships, the two heavyweight championships.
It was not easy to pick an ECW pay-per-view because there's so many great matches on the different ECW pay-per-views, but I wanted to get one of the RVD Jerry Lynn matches, and then Taz and Sabu as the main event was just okay. Here we go.
A year later, he leaves, right, for WWF in 2000.
Yeah,
not too long after this pay-per-view.
Yeah, not too long after.
Yeah.
Not too long after this pay-per-view, a lot of people left ECW.
Yeah, RVD probably too, right? I don't know how long after he takes off.
RVD.
Damn.
Yeah, the Dudleys split. RVD didn't stick around till the end. Tajiri.
Yeah, Tajiri takes off too. Lance Storm, I don't know. I think he goes off to WCW.
Yeah, Lance takes off for WCW not much longer after this, I think, actually. I don't think Justin
floats around a lot.
Sabu goes wherever somebody's going to pay him money.
Yeah.
Sabu's always been about the money. Mm-hmm. He dipped out. He got fired from ECW once for no show on a fucking event because he was in Japan and Japan was going to pay him more. So he said, fuck you to ECW.
Gotta get that cheddar.
And Paul fired him at a house show fucking in front of the crowd.
So let's see. My top 3 matches for this card, I would say number 3. Let's see. Fuck. Number 3 would have to be the main event, the unification. Number 2 would be Super Crazy versus Tajiri. And number 1, the best match of the night, Rob Van Dam versus Jerry Lynn for the television championship.
Yeah, exactly the way I would have it too. Exact same order.
I want to thank you, Jeff, for helping me out break down yet another old pay-per-view.
Anytime, brother.
For the Full Heel podcast. Content always helps. Like I said, I'm going to have to make the ECW thing where it says ECW correspondent. I'll make one for Jesus, and then I'll make one for...
I'm into it.
Yeah.
I'm into being the ECW correspondent for the Full Heel podcast.
Awesome. Yeah. I think we kind of mentioned we should probably do One Night Stand, the original One Night Stand.
We can do that, man. When you let me know when you want me back, and I'll fucking be ready for that shit.
Cool. We could figure something out. Thanks a lot for joining me this week, Ryan.
Yeah, man.
Ryan had a reschedule because happy birthday to his daughter.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
His little girl.
Happy birthday.
Yeah.
Happy birthday, Carla.
Yeah. He couldn't come on today. No biggie. But then you're like, hey, let me. I'm like, hey, when are we gonna do it? And you're like, we could do it next week. And I'm like, all right, boom. ECW.
Boom.
There was some there were some annoying fans in the fucking crowd. There's some really annoying. RVD.
I heard that guy. Fucking Jersey.
Yeah. Okay. What can you do?
What can you do?
Yeah. I want to thank everyone for joining us today on this episode of the Full Heel Podcast. Jeff, you want to plug anything?
Check out the Average Joes, where Raph and I break down MMA, fucking talk a little wrestling, smoke a lot of weed. You can find us on SoundCloud, Stitcher, Podbean, and one day YouTube. One day.
Nice.
One day when I'm not a broke motherfucker and I can afford to upgrade my equipment. I do accept Cash App. If anybody wants to contribute,
go ahead and check out the rewrites and get this guy's information for his Cash App. Check out the Average Joe's MMA show. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button, that red subscribe button, wherever it is. I don't know, somewhere down there. Check out iTunes. Subscribe on there if you want the audio. Hundreds of episodes of the Full Heel Podcast, breaking down old school WWE pay-per-views, WCW pay-per-views, ECW pay-per-views, watching pay-per-views for the UFC with my friends, watching fights, breaking them down live every Saturday for at least the last 3 cards for an hour and a half for the last 3 fights. So go ahead and check that out as well. Check me out on Saturdays live. Like I said, we go live around 9 o'clock, depending on what time the card starts, or the last 3 are starting. Thanks a lot for joining me. I'll see you guys next time on the Full Heel Podcast.